Dr. Thurston Sawyer here. I'm going to go on a rant, okay? Because I just feel like it. Okay, complaining about being the number one aquatic black man on the planet and penniless. I'm going to start a podcast, okay? It's going to be called Rich Man, Poor Man, Poor Man, Rich Man podcast show. But I've done radio. For 3 years I was on my own broadcast production. 3 years of competing with Rush Limbaugh, so I've done some serious shit, I produced and got my own sponsors, and I was on Comcast television segments, when they had radio broadcast on Comcast, so I was syndicated on AM and FM radio, and they saw my danger and naturally sabotaged it. So they just like my book, the Nazi 9/11 connection, Nazi 9/11 connection, because I'm the first one to point out that if these are all fascist cats that are doing these horrible things, connected to the modern Republican Party, they did her because she was knowing too much by sleeping with Kennedy, so she died mysteriously. So I'm dabbling with some dangerous shit, for the public, for the black race. And the black race is stepping on my neck. I have black people complaining that, why are you associating with the white people? Or why are you going into that white neighborhood with the flag on your bike, FDT? That's it's crazy for going, you're going to get killed. No, please, no. I have no fear of going into they're supposed to be civilized, right? I know that they're not, but I lived for 14 years in Newport Beach, California, and raised my kids in all four schools: Newport L on the beach, Ensign Junior High, and Newport High School. All right. I was the first black dude to do that with four kids. Might have been some that, had one or two. I didn't see them at the city council or the police, the council meetings, the school board meetings and all that, Well, I've been all those police meetings, meetings, everything, Dennis Rodman got kicked out of Newport Beach, had his shenanigans of being stereotypical, landing helicopters on the beach and giving stripper parties, not the way to impress people with, all whites, highly sophisticated, conservative area. And let me just touch off this conservativeness, because I do believe conservativeness and Confederacy are the same. But unfortunately, psychologically, there's a lot of problems going on in the United States. I have a lot of well-to-do Caucasian friends. Well-to-do as far as financially. I wouldn't say I associate with the 1%ers, but I associate with a lot of people that have Caucasian ancestry, European ancestry, that have a lot of money, naturally, because I'm in the surf industry, and that's all that is in that industry. Segregated. I'm a black man in an industry that is mostly predominant white, and blacks are offended by that. I call it the OJ syndrome. The same thing that OJ did by crossing the line of normality in which they're being programmed. Blacks are offended by white acting or white behaving black people. And that's unfortunate, because they need to be not shunned, but appreciated. If you're going into an all-white community, or you're a scholar and you're wearing suits and behaving as a well-sophisticated European standard, because that's what it is, because it's not just it's a European standard, of dressing appropriate and speaking in dialect, which is English, or without any Southern drawl, or which most blacks have. Well, no reason, because I'm not from the South. I'm from Pasadena, and in Hawaii. So I don't have a pig. Uh, I don't talk Hawaiian. Nah, my cool. Hey, cool man. Like I gave that up. I thought I was mentally handicapped, autistic on the low end, like most megas. That's another thing. See, I'm going to swivel over here and point at these degrees up on the wall. 7 of them. Honorary, and some I wrote theses for, like the blockchain and my engineering from Nelson Mandela University, engineering degree and doctor. Because I've designed all kinds of stuff from Department of Defense and all kinds of stuff. So I'm giving you a little profile of myself, but I'm going to tell you some things right now. The conservativeness, you're not enjoying your life. I'm going to cut it right to you. Elon, communications with that bastard for 4 years. Emails and weird kinds of things that he would send me, because he knows me. I'm transparent. Thurston Elroy Story II. For 30 years, I've been on the internet, and they know my book, Nazi 9/11 Connect. All the senators. You think that they don't know that book? When Putin himself is quoting it, and shot Saddam Hussein before they murdered him in some shady, where they'll take the Middle East 9/11 scam. So my book right now is selling for, they just snatched it off of Barnes & Noble because of the fascists, they're afraid of. As cowardness, you're not enjoying your life. The cowardness, you went into space 90 years ago with electromagnetic energy, transportation vehicles. You're still spoon feeding that ever since, Von Braun went to, with all that they shot into space going to the moon, and the fascists were already there, building cities and stuff, and then they went to the Mars. That's why Elon wants to go to Mars. See, Trump's trying to normalize what they stole. The fascists, racism is nothing but crooks. When you segregate something, you're stealing and denying that life from another race. See, they're crooks. Everything is stealing. Just think of racist Nazis are nothing more than crooks that steal racist abilities. They're crooks. They steal money. They steal everything. They steal the rights from people. Just think of them as just a universal crook. And that's what their mentality is. So these doctors, one of them is humanity. And my mother was not a professor, but she was a teacher in an autistic school for many times. And I would help her, and I understand autism on the low end. And I'm drawing the comparison. And I also have a thesis that I wrote about the IQ test being racist. It's on my research page. All you have to do is go to this URL I'm posting up right here. It's on all my signias of all my videos. This is a research company in which promotes other researchers. So go to this URL, Orchid, and then you'll see that thesis, and it was some other things about religion being, the stumps, because that's just obvious, the mountains that we see now. See, when they were experimenting with people, sizes, they didn't know what size to put on the planet. So this is a terraformed planet. We are living in a terraformed life, but we're not living it in harmony, for sure. The one race thinks that they can win it, as they're so simple-minded, they think it's a competition. But we all need to be getting along together mandatorily. Not going into space secretly and trying to conquer the universe and not telling anyone for 100 years. And that's what the Caucasian race has done. So they're trying to normalize it with Trump by just taking over everything and hiding everything. But that can't work because the extraterrestrials know about that. And they're just laughing at your stupidity, your angle, and what you're going at things. So please, make this go viral. It's